There are moments in life when you walk through valleys so deep, so dark, so crushing, that the people closest to you still can't see what you're going through. You sit in rooms full of people, yet feel completely unseen. You smile so well they can't hear the scream buried in your soul. You shake hands, you say, "I'm fine," and you keep functioning while you're falling apart on the inside. People see the performance, but God sees the pain. It's in those moments when no one checks in, no one calls, no one notices that the enemy tries to whisper that you don't matter, that your struggle is pointless, that your suffering is unnoticed, but that devil is a liar, because the God who neither sleeps nor slumbers has his eye fixed on you. He saw every tear you cried in secret. He counted the nights you couldn't sleep. He felt every heaviness on your heart when you couldn't explain why you felt the way you did. See, man looks at the outer appearance, but God looks at the heart. People measure your success by your smile, your salary, your status. But God measures your strength by how many storms you've weathered without applause. He knows the weight you've carried that nobody helped you lift. He knows the sacrifices you made that nobody acknowledged. And even when no one said thank you, He did. You thought you were alone when you sat in that room replaying the trauma. You thought no one saw you fight to get out of bed, to hold your family together, to push through the depression. You thought your silent struggle didn't matter, but your tears were prayers and your groans were worship. Heaven was listening even when earth was silent. Don't let the absence of people convince you of the absence of God, because when you were isolated, you were actually being insulated. When you were overlooked by people, you were being overseen by purpose. You weren't invisible. You were being preserved, because sometimes God will hide you while He heals you. He'll cover you in the cocoon of solitude so that when you emerge, nobody will recognize you from the pain you used to carry. So don't despise the seasons where no one checked on you. Don't be bitter over the people who didn't see your pain, because while others ignored your agony, heaven recorded every moment. And what God saw in the dark, He's about to reward in the light. You don't need their validation when you already have God's confirmation. You don't need their applause when you have His approval. You were seen, you were known, you were loved. Even when no one else noticed, God saw you there. There's something powerful about knowing you were never alone. Not even in your lowest, loneliest, most heart-wrenching moments. When the lights went out and the friends walked away, when the crowd stopped clapping and the phones stopped ringing, you were still not abandoned. You thought you were by yourself in that storm, but there was a presence standing beside you the whole time. A presence that didn't need to be loud to be effective. A presence that didn't have to speak to be comforting. A presence that was faithful even when you were fragile. You didn't know it at the time. All you felt was pain. All you could see was darkness. But even in the shadows, God was there. When you walked through the fire and didn't get burned, it wasn't because of your strength. It was because you weren't in that fire alone. When you cried yourself to sleep but woke up with just enough strength to face the day, it wasn't coincidence. It was divine company. God was in the room when your heart broke. He was beside you when your world collapsed. He was holding you up when your knees buckled under the pressure. Don't let the silence fool you. Don't let the absence of people make you believe in the absence of God. He is the kind of God who walks in when everyone else walks out. When people forget your name, He calls you His own. When they didn't answer your texts, He was already speaking peace over your storm. When you didn't have words to pray, He was interpreting your tears. When you didn't have the strength to stand, He stood for you. He surrounded you with grace, mercy, and strength that didn't come from within. It came from above. Some of your greatest battles were fought with no audience, no cheerleaders, no help. But even then, you weren't outnumbered. You weren't defeated, you weren't forsaken, because heaven had already declared you a survivor. And now, looking back, you wonder how you made it out, how you didn't lose your mind, how you're still breathing, still standing, still functioning. Let me tell you, it was not luck, it was not chance, it was not talent. It was the presence of God that kept you covered. He walked with you through the valley of the shadow of death. He didn't send an angel, He came Himself. That's why you didn't die in that depression. That's why the addiction didn't claim you. That's why the heartbreak didn't destroy you. Because while you were thinking you were alone, you were actually being carried. You are proof that His presence is real. You are the evidence that even in silence, God is active. Even in sorrow, God is near. Even in solitude, God is speaking. You didn't survive alone. You were never meant to. You didn't walk through that fire alone. Asterisk, God was right there with you. Asterisk, there comes a moment when you begin to realize that what almost broke you was never meant to bury you. It was meant to build you, that every tear you cried in silence, every heartbreak you endured in private, every sacrifice you made without applause, was preparing you for a purpose far greater than your pain. What felt like punishment was actually preparation. What looked like loss was actually laying a foundation. God never wastes your wounds. What you went through privately, He's about to use publicly. You see, pain has a purpose when it's placed in the hands of God. It may not feel good, but it's working for your good. While people saw the smile on your face, they never knew the battle in your heart. But God saw both, and the beautiful thing is, He didn't just see your struggle, He stored it. Every silent night, every lonely moment, every why me cry, it was not ignored. It was recorded. You were building spiritual equity in the dark, and now God is preparing to bring you into the light. They didn't see you praying when your world was falling apart. They didn't see you fasting, weeping, fighting to hold on when everything in you wanted to give up. But that's where God was shaping your character. That's where He was molding your faith. That's where He was planting the seeds of something so much bigger than your pain. He doesn't elevate without first excavating. He doesn't promote without preparing. And sometimes preparation looks like isolation. It looks like rejection. It looks like silence. But make no mistake, it's all part of the process. The pain you've endured in secret is about to break open doors in public. That humiliation is turning into honor. That heartbreak is birthing healing. That private crushing is producing public oil. You're coming out of this with something the world didn't give you, and they can't take it away. Your testimony isn't just a story, it's a strategy. Someone needs what you survived. Someone's deliverance is tied to your endurance. Someone's breakthrough is waiting on your obedience to share what God did for you when nobody else knew what you were going through. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to convince anyone of what you've overcome. God will do the revealing. You just stay faithful, because the same God who saw you in secret is about to reward you openly. You won't have to knock down doors. He'll open them. You won't have to fight for position. He'll place you. What you survived in the dark is becoming your platform in the light. So stand tall, wipe your tears, square your shoulders, because the stage is being set, and the time is coming when the world will see the masterpiece that was formed in the shadows. Asterisk what God saw in private, he's about to use for his glory in public. Asterisk you don't go through what you went through and come out the same. You don't cry those kinds of tears and not walk away changed. You don't survive that kind of pain and not carry something powerful on the other side. Those wounds weren't just attacks, they were assignments. And now, what once hurt you is about to help someone else. What once broke you is about to build others, because your scars are not shameful. They are sacred. They tell a story that somebody else needs to hear. They are proof that healing is possible, that survival is possible, that resurrection is real. The same hands that were trembling in weakness are now the hands that will lift others. The same voice that once cried for help will now speak life into the broken. The same heart that was shattered will now beat with compassion. That pain has become your power. That test is now your testimony. That valley you came crawling through is now a path others can walk with confidence because you went first. You survived so someone else could thrive. You see, the enemy thought that pain would silence you, that the betrayal, the loss, the trauma would paralyze your purpose. But what the enemy underestimated was the grace that was growing in the dark. He didn't know that God was turning that suffering into strategy, that he was transforming your bruises into breakthroughs. You're not just a product of pain. You are a vessel of purpose. You are carrying oil that can only be produced through pressure. You are dripping with wisdom that only suffering could teach. And now, when you speak with fire, you speak with authority, you speak from the place of I've been there. There is a weight on your life that wasn't bought, it was built. It was built through the nights you didn't sleep, the days you didn't quit, the times you held on by a thread. You have walked through hell and came back carrying heaven. People may look at you and admire the strength, the boldness, the peace, but they don't see the cost. They don't see the scars under your robe, but heaven sees it, and heaven is about to use it. You are not here by accident. You are here on assignment, and your pain is not in vain. The tears you cried are about to water the growth of someone else. The fire you endured is about to ignite someone else's faith. Don't hide your scars, reveal them. Don't suppress your story, release it. There is healing in your history. There is power in your process. There is deliverance in your testimony. You don't need to have a platform to preach. Your life is the sermon. Your scars are the message. Your survival is the evidence. You made it, and now you've got something to say. Asterisk, you didn't just go through it for you. God is about to use you to bring someone else out. Asterisk, there's a reward for the ones who didn't quit. A crown for the ones who kept pushing when the weight was heavy. A blessing reserved for the ones who worshipped while they wept. You didn't give up when you had every reason to. You didn't walk away, though you felt like crawling. You kept showing up, even when your heart was broken, and let me tell you, heaven saw it. God recorded it. And now, asterisk reward is on the way. Asterisk, you didn't get the applause. You didn't get the recognition. You weren't the one everybody called or celebrated. But God was taking notes. While others were watching the spotlight, he was watching your sacrifice. While they were counting followers, he was counting your faithfulness. While they were busy being seen, you were busy being steadfast. And that faithfulness, quiet, consistent, unshaken asterisk, is about to be honored. Asterisk, this isn't about people. People will forget. People will overlook. People will walk with you only when it benefits them. But God walks with you when it costs everything. And because you stayed faithful in the little, He is about to trust you with much. Because you held on in private, He is about to lift you in public. Because you endured the suffering, you are about to experience the glory. You didn't run when it got hard. You stayed, you prayed, you served, you gave, you believed, and every seed you sowed in tears is about to reap joy. Every time you bit your tongue instead of clapping back, every time you forgave when they didn't apologize, every time you honored when they dishonored you, God was watching. And reward is not just coming in eternity, it's coming in your now. There's favor assigned to your faithfulness. There's increase attached to your integrity. You could have retaliated, but you chose to release. You could have cursed them, but you blessed them. You could have walked away from your calling, but you stayed on the altar. And now, all that obedience is echoing in the courts of heaven. You thought nothing was happening. You thought your prayers hit the ceiling. You thought your giving, your serving, your faith was in vain. But you were being tested. You were being proven. And now, you're stepping into the season of reward. Doors that were once closed are swinging open. Tables are being prepared in the presence of those who thought you were finished. Oil is about to flow in places where pain once lived. Promotion is coming where pressure once crushed you. You're not just going to recover. You're going to overflow. God's reward doesn't look like the world's recognition. His reward is peace in the storm. His reward is strength in the battle. His reward is access, authority, and anointing that no man can take away. So don't grow weary in well-doing. Don't despise the waiting season, because in due time, in the appointed time, you shall reap asterisk if you faint not. Asterisk, your faith has not gone unnoticed. Your obedience has not been wasted. Your reward is closer than you think. There's something about your story that carries weight not because it's perfect, but because it's real. You didn't just read about overcoming, you lived it. You didn't just memorize scriptures about survival, you walked through fire and came out alive. What you carry now isn't just knowledge, it's anointing. It's oil that was pressed from pain, power that was birthed from pressure, and authority that was forged in affliction. Your story isn't just a testimony, it's a weapon, and God is about to use it to unlock freedom in others. You thought it was just for you. You thought all you went through was just about your journey, your healing, your growth. But what you didn't know was that every battle you faced was making you a blueprint. Every pit you climbed out of was giving you a map. Every time you stood back up, you were becoming evidence that rising is possible. People don't need perfect, they need proof. They need someone who has been through the valley and came back with vision. They need someone who knows what it's like to be broken and still believe. That's why you're still here, not just to survive, but to testify, not just to endure, but to empower. Your survival wasn't just for your benefit, it was for someone else's breakthrough. Your pain has purpose beyond your own healing. There's someone whose life is about to shift because you were bold enough to tell your truth. You didn't die in it. You didn't drown in it. You didn't stay in it. And because you came through it, somebody else now believes they can too. You carry a revival in your voice. You carry healing in your history. What you went through didn't just shape you. It sanctified you. It positioned you to be a light in places still shadowed by despair. That divorce didn't destroy you. It developed you. That betrayal didn't end you. It educated you. That loss didn't finish you. It forged something in you that now makes the enemy tremble. You are not just a survivor, you are a sign. You are the living, breathing, undeniable evidence of God's ability to redeem anything. And the beauty of your story is that it's still being written. He's not done with you yet. The same God who brought you through is now bringing people to you. People who need what's in you. People who don't need religion, they need your reality. People who don't need noise, they need your testimony. You didn't go through all that for nothing. God is about to turn your history into a harvest. So open your mouth. Share what He did. Walk boldly in your scars, because somebody's freedom is tied to your courage. Somebody's healing is waiting on your honesty. What the enemy meant to bury you has become your platform, and now your story is not just survival, it's revival. Asterisk, you are the evidence, and God is ready to use your story to set the captives free. Asterisk.